Other funding is provided by the Health Plan, a health maintenance organization serving West Virginia and Ohio since 1979. By the Center for Organ Recovery and Education, supporting Volunteers for Life through organ, tissue, and corneal donation. By Health South Rehabilitation Hospital, serving your rehabilitation needs in Morgantown and Fairmont. And by the faculty and staff of the Robert C. Byrd Health Sciences Center of West Virginia University. Welcome to Doctors on Call. Tonight's topic, good health. An expert is here to answer your questions. Now here's your host, Dr. John Phillips.
Good evening. We always start a new year with good intentions. We vow to work out more, we cut back on salt and fat and calories, we vow to use our seatbelts and to never text while driving. We promise to see our doctors and check our blood pressure, cholesterol, and glucose levels regularly. We're here to help you keep these promises. When and how often should you see your doctor? Are your tummy troubles a sign of something more serious? Should you be taking any vitamins or supplements? We'll get answers to those questions and more tonight from our guest, Dr. Holly Nyman-Hart, a family medicine physician at West Virginia University. If you'd like to ask a question, give us a call. Our phone lines are open now. Holly, West Virginians are known to be a little bit unhealthy. We're overweight. We have a high rate of coronary artery disease. Some of this is hereditary, but some of it is lifestyle as well.
Correct.
How do both those factors add up to good health?
I think that being aware of your family history and talking to your physician and trying to keep yourself in good health is very important. But a lot of us are just probably a little bit lazy. We think about exercise a lot. We think about following a diet. But not only in West Virginia, but kind of in our society at large, we're just big size when it comes to eating the food. We eat a lot of fat. We do bad habits like smoking and that kind of stuff. And it's just really a lot harder to live a healthy lifestyle. And I would actually say going to the grocery store, I swear the good food is more expensive than the not so good for you food.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's true. And as a family medicine physician, your part of your job is not only to help patients that are already sick, but help them change their lifestyle. What are some of the tricks that you use or tell your patients?
Absolutely. And I think that's kind of where family medicine is trying to head right now. We're much more interested in preventing disease than treating disease. Things that I talk about with almost all of my patients include getting enough sleep, drinking more water and less pop, making sure you eat plenty of fiber, exercise, and even parking in the back of the parking lot when you walk into work or to the shopping center can help. Every little bit helps. Ideally, we'd like people to exercise 20 to 30 minutes several times a week, but taking the stairs instead of the elevator, any of those little things can help. And I do a fair amount of work with talking to people about portion size because, seriously, we're just so used to huge-sized meals. Supersizing, and most of the time that will should feed 3 people. Mm-hmm. Drinking a bottle of pop, a 20-ounce, I believe it's a 20-ounce bottle of pop, is actually supposed to be 2.5 servings. But you get 1 bottle, so everybody drinks it.
Right. And now as a family doctor, you're also taking care of kids. Don't you find that intervening in childhood and getting them to live a healthy lifestyle as youngsters translates into better health when they're adults?
Yes, absolutely. And a lot of the work that we're doing now involves children. I work with residents, and we've got several of our residents working in some of the schools with some projects such as after-school exergaming, and trying to show that the kids are healthier, promoting activity in sports, time outside, playing in the yard, just running and being a kid rather than sitting behind the TV or with a video game.
Right. And this also includes immunizations, both for young and for adults.
Absolutely. And one of the newest things that we're kind of on a kick about right now is immunizing all adults against whooping cough. What we've discovered is the adults are the ones who are carrying it around because we got our shots when we were kids, and our immunity has kind of fallen down. And so we've got a lot of these people coughing and hacking who have whooping cough. So we're now giving all adults a booster on whooping cough as well as the diphtheria and tetanus.
Yeah, boosters are very important. We get our shots when we're young, and they don't necessarily give us immunity throughout lifetime. Right. Now, there are certain, in the news anyway, certain immunizations that are questioned about whether or not they cause autism and other problems. Do you have any opinions about those opinions?
My opinion is that I don't believe the immunizations actually cause autism. I think the issue is that it's coincidence, because the timing a lot of times that we discover a child is tending towards autistic is about the same time we would give them the shots. And most commonly, it seems to be the mumps, measles, rubella shot that people try to associate with autism.
Yeah, and I mean, we have the data to show that if you're immunized, we've been doing immunizations, we're a healthier nation. And when we stopped doing it in the last couple of years because of concerns of autism, that we started to have breakouts of things like whooping cough that we hadn't seen for a while. Well, we have our first caller. It's Jenny from Roane County. Jenny, welcome to Doctors on Call.
Yes, my question is, how in the God's world do these young people afford the groceries in the grocery store with gas being so high and rent being so high, and the taxes are raising, and rental property? I think all of our representatives ought to have to spend a day at the homeless shelter. How can they afford the food that they actually need? I watch them in their buggies. I can afford mine, and I exercise, and I'm in real good health. But I would like to know how these people can afford to feed their children in West Virginia, rent and everything.
Mm-hmm. It's hard. I mean, going to the produce aisle and buying the fruits and apples and the lettuce and that kind of stuff is much more expensive than swinging through the pasta aisle and picking up the 47-cent box of macaroni and cheese. And a little bit of that stuff is okay, but you have to learn some balance. And unfortunately, some of the things that are in a lot of the processed food, for example, salt, is a really big player for many people with high blood pressure. And so we're seeing a lot of people with elevations in their blood pressure. A lot of the canned foods, like you get a can of soup, how many people is that really supposed to feed? But I know I have 2 sons at home, and they down the whole can themselves. Of course, they're 21, 22, 6 foot, but so we need to pay attention to portion size and a lot of the additives that are in canned foods, which can cause some damage.
Sure. And certainly sugar drinks and pop are an issue. So we have a call from Anthony from Mingo County, who I think has a question for us in that regard. Anthony.
Yeah.
Welcome to Doctors on Call. Go ahead with your question.
Am I drinking too much pop?
Is Anthony drinking too much pop? Anthony, how much pop do you drink?
A lot.
How many?
A lot.
A lot. And are you overweight?
Yeah.
How much do you weigh?
236.
So he's 23 years old. He weighs over 200 pounds. And is he drinking too much pop?
Most likely, yes. And a lot of times when we drink pop, we eat the snacks like potato chips and popcorn and pretzels and that kind of stuff too. We don't tend to necessarily drink the pop with a salad. And even if you eat a salad, you put a lot of fatty dressing on it, and it makes it sort of unhealthy. But yes, I don't know how tall you are, and so we look at how tall you are as well as how much you weigh. But it sounds like at 232, yes, you're probably overweight, and it would probably be wise to cut back on the pop. Drink more water. If you don't necessarily like the taste of water, put a little bit of lemon in it, a little bit of some sort of flavoring in it, and that can help.
Okay, and all those sugar drinks can also lead to diabetes, as well as our poor health. And diabetes is a huge problem in this country, but particularly in West Virginia. It's best if you could prevent it from happening in the first place, but if you have warning signs or you're at risk for diabetes, watch this video.
Diabetics are unable to maintain healthy levels of sugar, known as glucose, in their blood. Prediabetes is basically a mild case of diabetes.
I have seen individuals that have had mild insulin increase that allows them to maintain normal blood sugar values, but at some point you would cross the line of maintaining normal blood sugar and then having high blood sugar problems.
Prediabetes is often called impaired glucose tolerance or impaired fasting tolerance, depending on the test that was used to diagnose it. The good news about prediabetes is that you have some control over your health. Many people find that with lifestyle changes, they can prevent the onslaught of full-blown diabetes.
It is something that they as an individual can definitely have an effect on the ultimate outcome. And if they are wise, then it may have no adverse effect on them, through their lives.
Here's how you can prevent prediabetes from getting worse. Lose weight. Even 5 to 10% of your body weight will make a big difference. And start exercising. This will help with weight loss and lower the risk of heart disease that goes hand in hand with diabetes. More good news, doctors are getting better at diagnosing prediabetes. So if you're over 45 and overweight, you should be tested. In Morgantown with the West Virginia Health Report, I'm Dr. Raleigh Sullivan.
Well, as Raleigh, he talked about diabetes, and certainly if we become healthier and cure our diabetes, poof, it doesn't eliminate our other coronary artery disease risk factors. So what are some of the other coronary artery disease risk factors?
A couple of the biggest ones that seem to go for a lot of people hand in hand with the diabetes are high blood pressure and also high cholesterol. And many times in diabetics, the good cholesterol is too low and the bad cholesterol is way too high. A lot of diabetics also have high blood pressure. And a lot of the same risk factors for those diseases are the same ones that are present for diabetes: the lack of exercise, the poor diet.
Mm-hmm. So we could, obviously our family history, there's nothing we could do about. Just by being healthy, exercising, eating well, we could decrease our risk for diabetes, high blood pressure, and cholesterol. But there are other things that we do, such as smoking and being sedentary, that lead to coronary artery disease risk factors. What do you tell your patients who are suffering with addiction to tobacco?
Quit. Basically, I try to talk to them each time they come in. We do have some evidence that shows that doctors talking to patients frequently or at each visit can really help. The thing about it is many people started smoking before they knew how dangerous it was, before we understood how addicting the nicotine is. There are a lot of alternatives right now. We have medications. We have nicotine that comes in patches. We have nicotine that comes in gums and inhalers. There's even a little electric cigarette deal that gives you the nicotine in a little bit of a mist, which can really help a lot. So sometimes just people have to get to the point where they're ready to quit, and it's an individual thing. And so invariably, I have a handful of patients that come in and I'll say, "You still smoke?" And they're saying, "Yeah." I'm going, "You ready to quit?" They'll say no. And so I tell them, basically, I'm not doing my job if I'm not talking to you about quitting.
And you could add on the effects that it has on their children and their other family members for secondhand smoke. Well, our next caller is Becky from Kanawha County. Becky, welcome to Doctors on Call.
Thank you.
Go ahead with your question.
Okay, I have diabetes. It's full-blown diabetes, but I also have a thing called gastroparesis. Do you know what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm
sorry, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, I have gastroparesis also, which keeps me sick to my stomach every day. And if I'm not sick, I'm nauseated all day. That's one of the symptoms of gastroparesis. I would like to know, what kind of a diet should I be on? The doctors at the hospital keep just saying a diabetic diet, but I think I need more than that.
Okay, so Becky, why don't you tell the audience first what gastroparesis is?
One of the problems with diabetes is it can cause some damage to the nerves. And a lot of people are familiar with the numbness and the tingling and the problem in the feet, but gastroparesis is some damage to the nerves that cause the stomach to empty. So basically, when you eat your food, it goes down your esophagus into your stomach, and your stomach then starts digestion and then empties into your small intestine. With gastroparesis, the stomach just doesn't empty like it should. So people have the nausea, they feel full easily. The unfortunate thing is, in my experience, the foods that would work the best for gastroparesis would be the ones that are easily digested, like carbohydrates. Mm-hmm. But those are some of the worst things for diabetics to eat. So a lot of times it's a matter of trial and error, looking for foods that you can digest easily, a lot of times to eat small amounts, but eat more often, and do a combination of carbohydrates with a little protein, and probably go very light on fat, because fat sits in your stomach and it takes much longer to digest. And there are some medications that we can sometimes use to help with the gastroparesis as well. But it is a big problem for a lot of patients.
And certainly keeping your diabetes under strict control would help as well.
Absolutely.
Great. Well, Becky, best of luck with that. Our next caller is Cara from McDowell County. Cara, welcome to Doctors on Call.
Hello.
Hi. Go ahead with your question.
Okay, I have a 14-year-old daughter, and she's been having a lot of headaches here lately, and she straightens her hair with one of them hot straightening irons. Could that have an effect on her headaches?
Very good. So, cause of headaches in teenagers.
Good question. A lot of times, depending on the age of the kids, depending on family history, headaches in kids can be caused by anything from migraines to tension to vision. Some people get headaches because they spend so much time on the video games and on the computer, and there can be some glare, especially if the computer and the screens are not adjusted properly. Without knowing a little bit more history, it's kind of hard to tell. I wouldn't think that straightening her hair with an iron would cause her to have a lot of headaches. When we used to all run around in curlers, I had people who got headaches because their curlers were too tight. But no, I'm not familiar with anybody getting headaches from using a straightening iron.
That's an interesting question. Good luck with that. So, you dealing with teenagers, you also must deal with patients who are pregnant.
Absolutely.
So talk a little bit about your how you care for women both before and after they've conceived.
One of the best things, I think, if you're unfortunately, a lot of our pregnancies are unplanned. And I think, though, if you're in the childbearing age, that one of the things that I as a family doctor should be doing is talking to you about your general health. So before you get pregnant, we try to work on a healthy weight, a healthy diet, stop the smoking, go to the dentist. Bad teeth, bad gums is a real problem in pregnant women. Also, we see a fair number of teenage pregnancies. And, it's important to talk with your kids about sex and pregnancy, because unfortunately a lot of our teenagers are having it very early. I like to talk to people when they hit what we call the childbearing age, and just make sure that things like immunizations are up to date, that they are eating healthy. We talk a little bit about the timing of a pregnancy, and it's a very individual thing. Some women get their career started and then have their babies. Other women like to start early and have their babies. And a lot of times if I know that a woman's getting ready to have or conceive in the near future, I go ahead and put them on a prenatal vitamin that especially has a little bit of iron and some folic acid, because folic acid, we've learned, is very important in the development of a normal nervous system for the baby.
Okay, and everything we've spoke of today tells the importance of having a primary care physician. So if you were just to see a patient once, you don't have the ability to watch them from when they're a child till they're an adult and direct them towards a good health. So I recommend to all the viewers to have a primary care physician and see them regularly. Our next caller is Rachel from Boone County. Hi, Rachel. Go ahead with your question.
Yes, my son is 18 months old, and since he was 6 months old, they've had him on Miralax every day, like a half of a capful. And I wanted to know if that was normal for him to stay on that every day.
He was constipated?
Yes, he's been constipated actually since he was born. He had to spend time in the NICU for it, but since he was 6 months, they've had him on Miralax every day.
Was he premature?
No, he was full term.
Okay, and is he still constipated?
He can still get constipated even being on the Miralax, but he's on it every single day.
Yeah. So this is a tough problem for young kids and for parents to deal with constipation in the young.
It is, and each person's bowel seems to be a little bit on the individual side, and there are some kids who just seem to start off having difficulty with constipation. A lot of times, and it gets a little easier as they get older, but to work with a combination of fiber and water, good diet. The Miralax, though, we sometimes just have to use, and that's what keeps them going, because it is a very miserable and uncomfortable problem. And if we let them get too constipated, they can even have tears in the skin around their rectum by pushing the stool out, and even develop very, very early hemorrhoids and some rectal bleeding. I would assume, since your child's had the problem since he was little, that he's had some workup, because there are some difficulties with the development of the bowel, or sometimes the nerve supply to the bowel, that causes it to be kind of slow, sort of like with the other caller with the gastroparesis.
Right.
The nerves just don't work quite right.
Right. What are some things that a mom could do with the child's diet to help with constipation, in addition to the Miralax?
A lot of times to work on fruits and vegetables. And I don't know how your 18-month-old is, but when my kids were little, they liked, when they did baby food, they liked the green or the orange vegetables. But as they got bigger, they liked the green vegetables. So, but to get fresh fruit, things with fiber in them. And I've even had parents use a little bit of a sprinkle fiber called Benefiber, which you can put on cereal, you can put in pudding, you can put it in a whole bunch of different things. And a lot of times that will help as well.
And decreasing sugar.
Absolutely. Decreasing the sugar, increasing the water.
Absolutely. Good. Rachel, best of luck with that. Our next caller is Randy from Raleigh County. Hello, Randy. Welcome to Doctors on Call. Go ahead with your question.
Yes,
Did we lose Randy?
Yes.
Oh, go ahead, sir. Go ahead with your question.
Is eating too much pork bad for a diabetic?
One of the secrets in diabetes is probably moderation, and it sort of depends on what kind of pork. So if you're eating a lot of, real fatty pork ribs, sure. If you're eating more of a lean, fat trimmed off roast, probably not so bad. But with any kind of meat, as well as with most foods, it's going to be portion size.
Okay. Good luck with that, Randy. I wanted to get to the flu shot really quick. I know I'm going on a tangent here, but we talked earlier about the flu shot. Mm-hmm. Go ahead and talk to our audience about that, the importance of it.
Okay. Yeah, we're in, a lot of people are coming in who maybe haven't had their flu shot yet, because we started giving flu shots this year really early, like September. And the problem with the timing of the flu shot is we don't always know when the flu is going to hit. And we sometimes even seem to have two waves, like sort of a late fall, early winter. But often we will have a wave of flu even as late as March. So if you haven't had a flu shot, it's still not too late.
It's never too late.
And we still have them in stock in many of the pharmacies and in many of the doctor's offices around. But to do a flu shot is pretty helpful, especially if you have any kind of chronic illness or you live with somebody with a chronic illness. For example, somebody with a heart problem or a lung problem, a kid with asthma. It's very, very helpful to keep you healthy. And if you get your flu shot, it also keeps you from calling into work and missing time.
Sure. And now 3 years ago, we spoke of the swine flu. It was a big deal. Our flu shots today cover both types of flu?
Yes.
So you only need the one?
You only need the one.
Very good. What other immunizations do you recommend for young people or teenagers? So you have an opinion about the HPV vaccine?
I do. I think that HPV is important.
Why don't you tell everybody what HPV is?
HPV refers to human papillomavirus, and many of the ads on TV, this would be the one that they talk about on TV where they say it'll protect the young woman from cervical cancer. It's actually the same virus that causes warts. This particular type causes primarily warts in the genital area. And there's multiple strains. Some of them just cause warts like the warts that you get on your fingers or your feet. Others, though, are very silent and tricky, and they can actually affect the woman's cervix and cause her to develop cervical cancer. We have now gotten approval to give this to young people, boys and girls, before they have sex. And I believe what we're finding is getting the shots into them before they have sex is the most protection. But this virus is epidemic, and it has become so widespread that it's very concerning, because we're finding so many young women who already have changes in their cervix.
Right.
And it's a series of 3 shots. A lot of the insurances are paying for it, and unfortunately it's offered at an age where kids are just like, I really don't want to get a shot, because it's that preteen age where it's so important to get them before they're sexually active.
It's going to be important to immunize our boys too.
Absolutely.
And it's obviously they don't get cervical cancer, but there are other types of cancers that they can develop, and they certainly infect. What I always found interesting about this particular immunization is that we can eradicate cervical cancer from the earth, just like the smallpox, through an immunization. No one will get cervical. You have to have HPV to have cervical cancer. And that's why I think it's really important.
Right.
So it's been wonderful talking to you tonight, Holly. And we've been talking about good health with Dr. Holly Nyman Hart. Thanks again for being with us. You did well
Thank
being
you.
all by yourself. If you'd like more information, talk to your family doctor or visit our website at wvuhealthcare.com. For Doctors on Call, I'm Dr. John Phillips. Good night and good health.
Join us again next week for Doctors on Call. Our topic will be women and heart disease. Major funding for Doctors on Call is provided by a grant from the Milan Charitable Foundation. Other funding is provided by the Health Plan, a health maintenance organization serving West Virginia and Ohio since 1979. By the Center for Organ Recovery and Education, supporting Volunteers for Life through organ, tissue, and corneal donation. By Health South Rehabilitation Hospital, serving your rehabilitation needs in Morgantown and Fairmont. And by the faculty and staff of the Robert C. Byrd Health Sciences Center of West Virginia University.
This has been a production of West Virginia Public Broadcasting.